Good morning and welcome to Traders 20 on ET Now. I'm Lekha Chadha.
Good morning everyone, I'm Avan Dabash, and of course Traders 20 is a show where we keep you up to speed with top trading ideas from our 6 technical experts who will come together over the next half hour to identify some of the most exciting bets in the markets.
And well, alongside all those equity trading ideas, we'll also be showcasing commodity picks as well as strategies that would help you make the best of the futures and options markets. So let's get started first up by giving you a glimpse of the lineup that we've got for you for today. Well, Ashwini Gujral is joining in from New Delhi. We've got Mitesh, Sandeep and Prakash with us here in Mumbai, Rajat Bose in Kolkata and Deepak Mohini in Pune.
Well, it's not a great start for the equity markets. Global peers aren't even compromising either. So as we speak, all of your sectoral indices are deep in the red, barring the healthcare index. And that's playing out on the index, which we currently speak is at 58.90. For the Sensex too, you've got a nosedive of close to 0.5%. So that's 19,365. The market breadth is veering in favor of the losing side. Let's pull out some of the top losers. Then you've got Ambuja Cements off by 2.5%. The metals pack, which was seeing quite a bit of a rally, is now seeing profit booking. So Sesa Goa down and out, as is Tata Steel and Hindalco. Apart from that, you've got Jayaprakash Associates, DLF. Some of the banking counters are also looking rather weak. So BOB, Axis Bank and IDFC, as well as an HDFC Bank in the limelight on the downside. Reliance Industries too off by 1%. A clutch of stocks holding up in the green. So you've got Cipla and select auto counters like a Maruti Suzuki holding up. Its defenses largely which are on the gaining list. So Ranbaxy, Lupin, as well as an Asian Paints, and add to that list a TCS which is at 12.34 on last tick. Well, that's the market technicals for you. Let's bring on board our technical experts then to assess the mood. Before that, let's give you a disclaimer from our end. Please do make sure to consult your financial advisor before taking on board any recommendations. Bring on board Ashwini Gujral, who joins in from New Delhi, as well as Mitesh Thakkar from Mumbai. Ashwini, at 58.92, what's your trading call on the Nifty, and what are your top trading recommendations for today?
Well, it's clear that the market is facing some kind of resistance at about 59.50. You know, yesterday was a very narrow range, a 30-point range, which happened post the gap. You know, the low was about 59.10 and the high was about 59.40. Now, you know, that bar has broken down, and a narrow range often leads to a wide range day. While, you know, it's still a bit early to say that maybe we are getting into some kind of a correction, but clearly, you know, the market is facing heavy weather on the upside, and once you have two failed attempts at taking out a level, then, you know, the market needs strong triggers to move forward, and it just feels like the heavyweights are kind of not having the juice to move up from here. So given that caution, we have trimmed down substantially our you know, long positions, and probably taken a few small short positions on the market, because the market is clearly tiring out at higher levels. The laggards have us trying to take the market higher. That's never a good sign. In terms of individual stocks, Sun TV is a buy with a stop about 416, target of 440. Cipla is a buy with a stop about 421, target of 445. Bajaj Holdings is a sell with a stop about 990, target of 950. And HDIL is a sell with a stop about 117, target of 103.
Okay, so we are clearly losing steam at this point in time and markets are firmly below 5900, Mitesh. So what would you be recommending?
See, I've got a mixture of buy and sell calls. A couple of buy calls coming in from Biocon and United Phosphorus, while IRB and L&T on the sell side. So I'll start with the Biocon, which is a buy above 291 with a stop at 285 for a target of 304. It's been kind of sideways in the last few days without much activity. It's been just managing to hold above the short-term moving averages. I think, you know, the about 291 we'll see some kind of a positive breakout happen over there, and that's why we have identified this stock. The second is the sell on IRB Infra, wherein, you know, we have seen some negative crossover of moving averages. The overall setup has been weak. We had seen a big price cut, I think, happening 4 or 5 trading sessions back. I think that clearly is suggesting that the downward trend still remains. and would now suggest shorting with a stop at 133 for a target of 120. L&T is a sell. I think it's already broken 1620 odd levels, but it can be sold with a stop at 1643 for a price target of 1570. Again, capital goods as a sector has kind of underperformed, while L&T as an individual stock was doing very well, strong over there. I think overall setup has slightly turned weakish in the last few days and points out to some more corrective declines from current levels. And finally, a buy on United Phosphorus, where we have seen some strong buy signal on the intraday charts, can be bought with a stop below 123 for a target of 132.
Okay, that's 2 buys and 2 sells. That is what Mitesh Thakkar is recommending. To the individual stock queries then, our first one for the day comes in on Gujarat Fluoro. We've got a live caller, Rahman Ullah, joins in on the phone line. Thanks very much for being with us. What's your query on Gujarat Fluoro?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Mr. Rahman, go ahead with your query.
गुजरात फ्लोरो मैंने 3,370 में लिया था, अभी तो बहुत नीचे आ गया है.
कल गुजरात फ्लोरो जो है अपने काफी स्ट्रॉन्ग सपोर्ट के आसपास है, जहां से कई बार इसमें बाउंस आया है. इसमें बहुत बड़ी एक बेयर मार्केट हो चुकी है, तो उसमें आपके लिए मतलब ये है कि अगर ये ब्रॉडली 300-315 का स्तर होल्ड करता है तो चांसेस हैं कि इन लेवल्स पे यहाँ पे ये बॉटम आउट हो जाए. लेकिन अगर ये 315 से भी नीचे ट्रेड करना शुरू कर देता है तब जो है इसमें से निकल जाना बेहतर है. लेकिन मैं मानता हूं कि मार्केट की सिचुएशन देखते हुए अच्छे चांसेस हैं कि यहाँ पे शायद बॉटम आउट कर जाए, लेकिन उसको पता तब लगेगा जब ये 356 से ऊपर चलना शुरू होगा. एक बार वो होता है तब आप मान सकते हैं कि इसमें और ऊपर स्ट्रेंथ आएगी और ये 400-405 तक जाएगा. लेकिन अगले 15-20 रुपए जो है वो देखने की जरूरत है कि ये और नीचे यहाँ से नहीं जाना चाहिए.
Okay, so Mr. Rahman, ये advice थी अश्विनी के आपके लिए गुजरात फ्लोरो पे. Let's move on to the second query for the day. This one comes in on a Den Networks. We've got Ila Shah joining us on the phone line. Ila, hi, thanks very much for being with us. Tell us about your holding here.
Thank you so much for putting me here. I want to really thank E.T. and Ashwini Gujral and Mitesh Thakkar. Both of them, they are very good technical analysts. They have saved us from going down this year, definitely. And now I've got 1,000 shares of Den Network at 120. I'm a long-term investor. Should I hold on, or what is the target? I don't know how to go from here. Should I put some stop loss or book profit and go in some financial, or market is not that kind of? I really don't understand now. Okay.
Well, madam, first of all, congratulations. You are in a good investment. Don't try to understand too many things. All you need to do is how to make it large. Now, you already made, I think, 50% on your investment. So if I were you, I would look to, add another 500. Each time the stock moves up 60, 70 bucks, or maybe even 100 bucks, that is for you to decide. But once we take out this level of 256, I think, you could easily have another 200 bucks on the upside, because as you are aware, there has been a recent, cable legislation which has passed. And because of that, all these media stocks, cable stocks are doing extremely well. Now, what you have to make sure is not to get out of this investment. Once a bull market starts in a stock, 10 to 15x is sometimes possible. So, given that, I think now your job is to manage the trade. Buying and selling is just 10%. But once you enter something successful, then you must try to make it large, because one investment can change your life. So try to, keep adding 200, 300, 500 every time the stock goes up, not when it comes down. So each time your profit increases, try to add on some more stock, and chances are you get very close to 400.
Okay, Mrs. Shah, hope Ashwini was able to help you out with that one, and thank you so very much for your kind words. All the very best on your investments. Our last and final query then for the day comes in on L&T Finance. We've got an email sent in to us by K. Bhagwat Reddy, who sends it in. He's bought 4,000 shares off the counter at an average price of 77 rupees and now wants to know if he should hold or sell. Ashwini.
Well, chances are at some point, L&T Finance will get a banking license. And like we've seen other good groups make, fine banks, chances are, even L&T will probably put up a good bank. So if it does that and if, everything works out, I think 145, 150 should come in for L&T Finance. He's making money. So, keep your stop at around 80, 82 and try to, again, same advice, try to make it large if it starts working out.
Okay, so Mr. Reddy, that's the word of advice coming in on an L&T Finance. You can stay invested for a target of 145 to 150 rupees. But before we move ahead with the show then, once again, let's give you that disclaimer from our end that there are going to be a lot of stocks that are discussed on the show. So if you do decide to take positions in any of them, please consult your investment advisor before doing so.
Okay. Let's quickly check in as to how the markets are panning out at this point in time. And we pointed out that it's a fairly sluggish day of trade. The global data isn't very supportive either. What's happening with the broader markets? Well, in tandem with the way that benchmark indices are also moving. So now 0.7% off for the Nifty at 58.90. You've got the Sensex too, which is coming under a fair bit of pressure. It's already off by close to 112 points. And this after seeing 2 days of a pretty smart rally. You've got the Sensex you've got the mid-cap index, which is also off by 0.3%. The small-cap index there giving it company. Individual stocks also, which remain in focus for today. You do have a BGR Energy. Remember, it won a contract worth 155 crore rupees. So that auguring fairly well for that counter. And from the broader markets, that one certainly is holding up fairly smartly. Karnataka Bank, though, that is seeing quite a bit of selling pressure. Remember, it was a bit of a gap down for that counter, and it does continue to see quite a bit of a downtick as SEBI is probing the share trade in this one. So now currently as we speak is at 171 thereabouts. The bias does remain soft, but you do have a pocket which is looking fairly active. At least it was at the start of the day. There's some of the sugar counters. So let's also get in a check. And those also are some of the top gainers coming in on your screen. You can see that it's clearly the defensive pack, particularly pharmaceuticals as well as FMCG, which seem to be holding up fairly smartly. So the likes of an Aurobindo and a Strides Arco Lab. But Rampur Chini looking a bit soft. Some of the other counters perhaps are holding up on your screen. But apart from that, you've got an Eros International also. Remember that counter. There was the news of the offer for sale yesterday. The floor price has now been fixed at 200 rupees per share. Remember, they are going to sell 2.8% stake via that offer for sale. As we speak, it's rather muted at 210 half thereabouts. You are seeing weakness in some of the Gujarat-based stocks, so the likes of an Adani, a Syntex, all of those counters coming under a fair bit of pressure, and it's the ADAG stocks too, which we will be monitoring. That's the Finance Minister speaking in the Parliament. Let's cut across.
Specific question is that instead of giving these tax concessions for revival, which is not working, utilize these amounts, partially at least, utilize these amounts for big public sector investments, public investments, build our infrastructure, which is much needed, and thereby generate jobs and thereby expand your domestic demand, which will be the basis for your manufacturing growth. Is the minister contemplating such a shift in its government strategy?
Thank you.
Sir, I can impose no taxes without the approval of the Parliament. I cannot reduce any tax unless I place the notification in Parliament. Therefore, there is nothing non-transparent about what governments do. Point again is, how do you read this statement? Now, we give exemption from income tax rates to senior citizens. That is captured in the statement. Members write to me saying, for this sector, please reduce excise duty. If the government of the day accepts the request and reduces excise duty from the scheduled rate, that is captured in the statement. Public sector companies want tax-free bonds. we have allowed 60,000 or 70,000 crore rupees of tax-free bonds. Those bonds are issued in order to raise capital for that public sector. But there is a tax foregone there. That is captured in the statement. Therefore, you can't take this statement and say everything here is wrong. Everything here has got a reason. Just a moment, just a moment. Everything here has got a reason. That's why I said, if you tell me an individual head under which tax has been foregone, then government is obliged to answer why that tax concession has been given. Yes, I agree as a general principle, we must avoid large-scale exemptions. We must collect the taxes that are indicated as the norm or the scheduled rate and use that money for investment purposes. I agree with that proposition. But each exemption or each concession given has a history to it, has a logic to it. We can debate that. And we can come to the conclusion that this concession is no longer justified. We should take away the concession. In fact, any finance minister will be happy to take away concessions so that he collects revenue. But the whole house will be in an uproar if I take away all the concessions.
Some important statements there coming out of the Parliament. Finance Minister is saying that the fiscal deficit target of 5.3% is achievable and that faster growth will help in lowering the fiscal deficit. We've been talking about how those twin deficits have been a bit of a problem.
All right, time then to chat with Sandeep as well as Prakash and get their trading recommendations in the session right now. And Sandeep, start with you, and what are your 3 ideas?
I have a buy in Sun TV, stop loss of 417, target of 435, a price and volumes breakout in the hourly charts, so the move should come in the next day or two. The second one is a buy in Cipla, stop loss of 418, target 437, a breakout of a swing high in the daily charts. And the third one is a sell in Adani Ports, stop loss 143, target 134, a negative crossover of momentum indicators.
Okay, buy on Sun TV, Cipla, a shorting candidate, Adani Power. What about you, Prakash?
I like to go with 3 buys, starting with Cipla. Cipla looks good to me. 420 seems to be a very strong support zones. It's given actually a breakout, and that breakout would take it to a closer to around 440. So Cipla is a buy. Second stock that I like is Coal India. Coal India is showing some kind of consolidation, and indicator buy has come in. I think Coal India can climb to levels closer to 367. I would have a stop below 355 and trade long. And the third stock that I like is Financial Technologies. It's given a breakout in the short-term time frame. It's holding out pattern, very strong support around 1140 or so. On the upside, we could see target closer to 1150, 1170, 1150 zones or so. 1075 should be the stop loss. Target closer to 1140, 50, 60.
Okay, so Cipla is turning out to be quite a favorite, and in addition to that, a FinTech and Coal India are the other recommendations.
Okay, let's take it straight then to Rajat Bose as well as Deepak Mahoney to find out the trading ideas that they're betting on this Thursday morning. Hi Rajat, what features on your list?
I have 2 sell calls and buy call with a very small stop. First, the sell calls, sales relatively small quantity of JP Associates, relatively small quantity precisely for the reason that the trend of the day and the trend of the market has not yet been established as of now. It's just whether it is just a consolidation or some kind of a small correction that is not yet known. So it is better to trade light in my view. That's why I've said sell relatively small quantity JP Associates with a stop above 103.50. And once this 101.50 is broken, this will get accentuated. I mean, some more selling pressure is likely. From 100 to 98 is the downside target. Very small target, very small stop loss for the simple reason that the trend is not yet established. Secondly, Vale is another counter which in my view would attract some selling pressure. So sell it on a minor rally with a strict stop above 234. Targets could be 227, 225 on the downside. And the third stock, which I am actually using a very, very small stop of about 1 rupee or so, buy Tata Steel, small quantity, with a stop below 417 and a target of 424 or whatever higher levels that you get. Because very frankly, in such situations, I would prefer to trade light or not trade at all and watch from the sidelines and see how things really pan out. Hence, what I suggest is trade relatively small quantity and trade for a narrow range. Do not go for very high targets or, for that matter, very straight stop losses.
Okay, so trading light is the strategy that Rajat is recommending right now. 2 shorts and 1 long is what he's got for us. Deepak, tell us about the top 3 ideas that you've identified.
Well, even I've got 1 buy and 2 short sales. The short sales are just day trades, so they are not left hanging around if the market revives tomorrow. So the buy is Glenmark Pharma. We got Pharma's making a fairly good move today, and this stock after a 2-day correction has shot up to a 4-year high today, so it's a good point to enter. The stop loss is 485 and a target of 513. The 2 intraday short sales, the first is NMDC with a stop loss of 162.5 and a target of 154. It's been in a downtrend since the middle of September, and today it's at a 1-week low. Yesterday it was up a bit, so it's a fresh decline and a good point to go short. Similar setup in ACC, also a 1-week decline, 1-week low and a fresh decline. This is a sell with a stop loss of 1420 and a target of 1351.
Okay, so that wraps up all of the equity trading ideas. Let's move away from that and chat commodities. We've got Hitesh Jain, who's a commodity analyst at IIFL, now joining in on the show. Hitesh, with the way gold prices have been shaping up, what's your strategy?
See, off late, the correlation between gold prices and the US fiscal cliff scenario has been highly inconsistent. In this respect, initially when the US legislators were making quite progress on the fiscal cliff negotiations, gold prices were rallying. Then we had some deadlock, then prices moved lower. And 2 days back when when President Obama made a latest proposal as an effort to strike an accord with the Republicans, prices actually witnessed a sharp selling. So prices have been trading on a very inconclusive note, but at this juncture we would take the courage to buy gold at the support levels of 1670, and on the domestic front as well we would prefer to buy gold Feb contract at 3850 with a target of 31050 and a stop loss of 30,730.
And Hitesh, if we talk base metals, then what's the trade you'd recommend on copper?
See, although the fiscal cliff scenario has taken a toll on the base metal complex, but we infer that the base metal complex will be more receptive to the positive macroeconomic developments from China. And we would prefer to buy copper Feb contract at marginal dips around 437 with a target of 442 and a stop loss of 433.5.
Okay, Hitesh, we'll let you go at that. Appreciate you taking the time out and walking us through those commodity trading strategies. It's a buy on gold as well as copper. Time to thank our equity guests also for being with us on the show and giving us their top equity trading recommendations. Here's a quick disclaimer. Please do make sure to consult your financial advisors if at all you choose to take recommendations on any of the positions given.